Well, Gauteng Health says municipalities in the province have the combined capacity to cater for over 1 million graves. MEC Bandile Masuku announced the province had begun preparing the graves. The department says an impression has been created that the graves had already been dug up. Now, the city of Johannesburg's Mayoral spokesperson, that's Mlimandlela Ndamase, joins us now via Skype for further clarity. But before that, let's just listen to what the MEC had to say.
We are preparing over 1.5 million grave sites. And it's an uncomfortable discussion. You know, as a medical practitioner, it also becomes not something of my great topics, but it's reality that we need to deal with, and we need to be prepared.
Mr. Ndamase, thank you so much for your time and welcome to ENCA. I mean, just quoting the MEC there, an uncomfortable decision, by the health department, but one that is necessary just so they can, of course, prepare themselves for the worst should it come to that point. But I mean, you would like to clarify here, just after reports were made around that figure, 1 million graves being dug here. You are saying that you're not necessarily responsible for those 1 million graves. Is that correct?
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. Well, what we are saying is the city of Johannesburg, and this arose from a parliamentary briefing through the portfolio committee of COCTA, where the mayor, together with the mayor of eThekwini and representatives of the city of Cape Town, we asked a question as to the capacity that we have as cities to be able to respond should there be a need of additional burial space in the various cities. You would know that previously eThekwini has raised their own challenges in this regard, but on behalf of the city of Johannesburg, we have stated previously that our current capacity, and this is pre-COVID and is our capacity that is part and parcel of our standing capacity as a city, is over 1.4 million graves. Or grave sites that are available within the city. We do not believe that during this period of COVID we will come anywhere close to those kind of numbers in as far as mortality is concerned. In fact, that would mean 20% of our residential population of 5 million in Johannesburg has perished from this particular virus. And that is not what the statistics and what the projections have been telling us. But it is facilities that are available, and as and when people pass on and families approach the city, as is the norm and standard practice, they will be then allocated sites and assisted to be able to bury their dead in dignity.
What you also acknowledge is that there are still funerals being conducted that are not necessarily COVID-19 related. Hence, you do have capacity for them, or mention that the city does have capacity. Let's talk about those, numbers just in terms of the 4 cemeteries that currently do have capacity. What are the numbers looking like?
Well, as I've said, in those 4 cemeteries, in fact, what we have seen, which was quite an interesting development, at the beginning of the lockdown, which was March and April and to some extent May, we realized that with the ban of alcohol, even our number of funerals that we were conducting at our cemeteries was much lower than is the norm. And on further investigation, our analysis was telling us that due to the ban of alcohol, there's far less car accidents, there's far less shootings and stabbings, and therefore that is why we had some decrease in the number of burials that we were seeing at our cemeteries. In June, we have had a spike and some return to normality, but also exacerbated by the number of deaths that we have seen from those persons who have either passed on as a result of COVID or who have tested positive for COVID and had comorbidities in the various health facilities with whom we work very closely in identifying those particular bodies and being able to process them as required by the health department. So as a city, once more, we are very confident that the capacity we have it far exceeds what can ever be required in as far as COVID deaths is concerned. Even in the event of any natural disaster that may occur, we are in no position to panic and really would want to allay the fears. We are not digging graves for the persons living, but what we will do and we will continue to do is to provide space for those families who approach the city and would wish to bury within our cemeteries.
Right. Now we're talking about burials, but also there's cremation here involved. In terms of your crematorium facilities, I mean, according to your assessment, what have you found? Are they faring well at this time, or is there any pressure whatsoever that needs to be noted?
Well, in terms of our crematoriums, the numbers have increased as well. but those numbers have not exceeded our capacity. We are still able to respond and assist families. And importantly, what we have been doing is to make sure that in assisting families, we are able to stagger funerals, we are able to stagger cremations, we are also able to enforce the regulations in as far as numbers are concerned, so that whilst we ensure that we provide a service that gives dignity to the departed, we are also compliant in ensuring that we still prevent to the best of our
Mr. Ndamase, I think we've lost you there, unfortunately, and you were making quite an important point there about still observing regulations and protocols under level 3. Of course, we understand that, at least 50 people are allowed, and there need to be, a fair amount of social distancing during a funeral, a procession, or even a cremation of a loved one. But unfortunately, we've lost there Mr. Mlimandlela Ndamase, the Mayoral spokesperson, under the city of Johannesburg. So I think he's quite optimistic there, and rather trying to show a positive stance to say we shouldn't still fear as South Africans, and people should not worry about these graves, thinking, would I be the next or part of the next million to be buried there?
So a number of people are saying it's semantics, whether you're saying preparing grave sites or preparing graves. Right? What's the difference between identifying a piece of land and saying that if we need graves, we've got the land, and the land can have up to 1.5 million graves scattered across Gauteng. Between that and actually having diggers digging graves. So